Alrighty, let's have a quick run through of all the pairs, starting with Euro USD. Okay, now mind you, today we do have a bit of high impact news later in the evening during the US session for USD pairs, so something to be careful of. Alright, so starting with Euro USD, I have my buy zone, which is just an engulfing buy meets an engulfing buy. Then for my sell over here, up top, I have my engulfing buy that was respected, then failed on this candle, but the previous H4 created this engulfing sell, and we have another engulfing sell and another engulfing sell. So the sellers has locked the price over here. Okay, so current price has tapped into this zone, but we are going to wait at our key levels to be more precise. So what can Euro USD do? Let's screenshot and explain. Let's talk about it. If the price comes back into our buy zone, as long as H4 does not close below our zone, there's a potential for us to look for buys up. But if the H4 decides to close below the zone, remember, closing is the decision of that particular candle in that time frame. So if the price or this H4 or any H4 decides to close below our zone over here, there's a potential for the price to drop down even lower. Okay, vice versa, if it comes into our sell zone and the price respects it, H4 does not break above, then there's a potential to look for a sell back down. But if it breaks above, there's a potential for it to go even higher. In cases where the price breaks above the zone or below our buy zone, we can either look for the next zones or wait for the price to retrace back into our key level to look for the opposite direction. Okay, the opposite direction. So since this is an H4 zone, what do? You monitor, once the price comes into our key levels, monitor M5 or M15, but start with M15 first, because the higher the time frame, the more movement you can get. So start with M15 first, either M5 or M15 for entry. If you cannot find anything in M15, that is when you switch down to M5 to get a more precise entry. Okay, next pair. Oops. USD CAD. Okay, USD CAD is a bit of a puzzle right now because recently all of these H4s have been just zigzagging, but the price wanted to push up. Despite the price pushing up, it didn't really create any zones, or only maybe this engulfing buy over here, but this is in the black zone. If you look at the back or previously in the history, you can see that there's not much going on here. It will either come into this area or tap into this area. So if you can see, it plays around these two. Dip, dip, dip. That is why we are not going to do anything in the middle over here. We're going to wait for the price to come into our zones, and if ever in the future it decides to make proper setups in the middle, I will notify you for people who want to scalp. Okay, but for me, I like to wait at the highs and the lows where there's significant movement. Whether it breaks above or respects, I still want that because I can change the setup, or if the opposite direction or opposite setups decide to show up, then I can stay alert and focus, wait for the H4 to close. Okay, so in this case, again, what do we do with USD CAD? Let's zoom out, screenshot that, same thing. I'm going to keep repeating it every single day in my analysis. Okay, so current price is here. If it comes into our sell zone and H4 does not break above, there's a potential that we can look for sells down. But if it breaks above, there's a potential for the price to go higher. Same thing, if it comes down into our buy zone, it has to break all of this to reach this. Okay? It has to break all of it. But if it reaches, H4 cannot close below for us to look for a potential buy up, but if it does, then there's a potential for the price to go even lower. Again, in cases where the price decides to break our zones, you can look for the next levels, like this, to look for a sell and buy, or you wait for the price to retrace back into the key level, and if the opposite setup decides to show itself, then you can take the opposite direction of the entry. Okay, as long as H4 is broken out, that's not the word, broken out of the zone already. Okay, now once you have entered, especially newbies and beginners, or people who have small capitals, and you're not willing to risk much, mind you to always set SL. This helps manage your losses. Okay, so I usually suggest 40 pips from entry, but you can refine it down. If you can refine it down to make it smaller, even better, but always think about, although it might be smaller, the SL can become too tight for the price to touch it and go the direction that you anticipated in the first place. Okay, so it's something to just stay alert of. Okay, that's for this pair. And last but not least, AUD/USD. Now AUD/USD has tapped into this H4 that goes way back over here. This engulfing buy was super strong, super strong, that it caused the price to shoot all the way up over 700 pips. Okay, and it took so much time for the price to actually get down and test this level again. So we know that the buyers from the past are quite strong, but we have to wait for the buyers to be activated over here, because the previous H4 already closed within the zone. And now this H4, we have to see if it's going to struggle to push the price back up or not, because if it does, you will see that it will not create, or if it does create any buy setups in our key level, there's a potential for it to go, right? But if it doesn't, then there's a potential for it to break our H4 zone. Okay, so that's how we do it. So on M15, you can see that the price already broke through, didn't create anything in the key level yet. It tested the lower area of the H4 zone over here, and you can see that if I were to draw, we also have secret buyers, right? Hidden buyers over here that push the price up because H4 did not close below. So from this wick, it just started moving up now. Because we can't see anything in M15. So let's go on to M5, right? On M5, the price is tapped into the key level, didn't create any engulfing cells yet, and now it's just zigzagging. So it is still undecided. But why is that? Because we do have high impact news later in the evening. Sometimes the price it may not be ready to move yet. Okay, so sometimes it likes to wait for the news to be released to go in the direction that you want. So we have to be very, very patient and wait for the price to do something. Okay, so on M5, I already have marked. Let me just put this is my M15, this is my M5. So on M5, it has already created just below the key level this engulfing cell, but the price came back up, broke above, and created this engulfing buy. Now the price is testing it again. What I wanted to do is stay above, right, the limit of this green zone, because if it does and it creates an engulfing buy, we can also look for an entry in the key level once it reaches there again. At least we know that there are buyers over here trying their best to push the price up in the H4 buy zone. Okay, so from the H4 perspective, what are we going to do? Let me delete some arrows. Okay, so this is happening, right? So AUD/USD, if I screenshot it, what do? If the H4 is currently, and the next H4 is to come, as long as it does not close below our zone, we can look for potential buys up. But if the H4 decides to close below the zone, then there's a potential for it to go even lower. Okay, go even lower. Now, same thing if it comes into our buy zone, our sell zone, and if it respects that, it shows setups in the smaller time frames for a sell and H4 still respecting, then we can look for potential sells down. But if it breaks above, then there's a potential to go even higher. Okay, but we are going to focus to waiting for this buy to form first. Otherwise, it will just be gambling. Okay, but for low risk traders, if you are trading USD pairs today and there will be USD high impact news later, usually I would suggest to wait after the news so you can see where the price goes and you are not caught in that huge spike or major drop when the volume flows in, right? But if you are a scalper and you want to scalp before the news comes, then also good. Okay, 20-30 pips, TP manually. Okay, talking about TPs, what do you do? TP, it's something that you are comfortable with. Depending on what kind of trader you are, I like to trade from key levels to key levels, meaning if I were to catch a sell here, I would TP at my right before my buy key levels. All right, or if you can do also, if you enter here, you can count the pips from here and divide it by your numbers of entry. So you can take TPs as you go, just slowly keeping in that cash flow, right? Or if you have a daily target and hitting 10, 20, 30 pips already helps you reach that, then you can stick to that too. Okay? So that's it for the 3 pairs. Please be patient. Please do not just throw in money without waiting for the setups to form. Okay? And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.